Three, two, one.
This broadcast, telecast, podcast, and whatever the hell else it is copyrighted by the Rad Network and the Rob and Steve Sports Show. All found at theradnetwork.com and is for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of this madness without the express permission of the Rad Network and Williams Broadcasting and Rob's really mean lawyers is prohibited. So just don't do it. It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Right next to me is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. The heavyweight champion is taking the mandatory 8 count.
Welcome to 2 hours of sports and nothing but sports.
Here comes Chicago. 17 seconds. 17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan. Open. Chicago with the lead.
Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
Here it comes. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. In your life have you seen anything like that?
And now the Rad Network presents the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Hello, welcome to the show. You can email us, ras@theradnetwork.com. It is Wednesday, July 8th, I think. Yeah, sure. 2026, and you're going, why is Rob wearing that sweatshirt? Rob didn't go to Colorado. Rob's not a Buffalo. That's true. But Deion Sanders has spoken. And when Deion Sanders speaks, we listen. Now, you ask why. Because I have to justify this as a business expense. I have to wear this sweatshirt as often as I can when Deion's in the news. So we'll get to that. And we'll ask Steve whether or not we should be. And there's some other NFL news. There's actually lots of breaking news. It's kind of like little. So I got to pick. We get to kind of move around and jump around and go from story to story and sport to sport. We're going to start in baseball. Connor Griffin of the Pittsburgh Pirates. 20-year-old shortstop. Done. Basically for the season. Basically. He was placed on the 10-day IL. That's meaningless. He's got an issue with the knuckle on his ring finger on his left hand. What a goofy injury. He's going to miss at least 8 to 10 weeks. It's been a revelation for the Pirates. We've been following him since Steve told us to, and then he got called up, signed an enormous contract. They selected him first in 2024. Griffin's hitting .276, 5 homers, 25 RBI, 20 stolen bases in 59 games. I'll go ahead and pause here. I was going to do the whole thing, but I'll pause here. We're still going to do the exercise in a minute here, Steve, about what the Pirates do moving forward, trade deadline coming up, etc. We'll talk about yesterday's game and where Paul Skeens is. But let's just start with Connor Griffin. Getting hurt. He has been very impressive as a rookie. He came up. What did he go, like 1 for 3, and then he was into a quote slump for 3 games, and now he's proving himself. He's a major leaguer. I don't know if you believe in this stuff, but is this a sign? Is this a sign for the Pirates to just let it go, stop talking about being buyers for this season, get things settled for your next season, whether it's 27 or 28? Let's just let the... Do you look at it that way, or do you go, no, it's baseball, dude. You adjust. And if the Pirates keep winning, they go for it.
I'd like to see the Pirates make some moves to try to make the playoffs. They've been in such a long drought of missing the playoffs. When I first read it, and you caught me a little off guard with that, when I first read it with the torn tendon in his, ring finger of his left hand, they said he could play through it. But the Pirates were trying to figure out how exactly they're going to deal with it. And the belief is if they take the precautionary route, he's going to be out for about 4 weeks, which would put him to the middle or end of August. Hearing you, and I'm like, okay, I've missed something, because I fully expect him to be back in a few weeks. If they say he can play through it, I'm glad they're taking the cautious route. But if they're going to shut him down for the season, that's an overly aggressive caution, unless they went in there, they looked at something and found something more than what was initially reported. And if he's out and you're asking buyers or sellers, do they look at moving Paul Skeens? We're watching the Tigers ride Scooble all the way to the end, and there's some in the camp, and I think it's fewer than most because most of us believe the Tigers need to move him on. But do the Pirates just say, look, we know we're not re signing Skeens? And I don't know if Skeens has one more year on his deal or if it's two. And if it's two, I run that over and keep it going because I back to negotiating. Sorry to jump into this, but when they renegotiate the collective bargaining agreement, if you're the players, don't you sit there and say, if let's say they miss 2027, well, we're going to give you the salary cap. But as Rob says, as for everything else, do they say, look, we're going to allow everybody to be granted a service year, which moves those players that are younger a year closer to free agency as part of that negotiation? I'd hate to see the Pirates trade away Paul Skeens, but if it's the Pirate organization we've seen for many, many, many years, that they don't want the payroll, they're not going to pay him. Do they use this opportunity? Because Skeens has not been good, and he got a win yesterday, but he still did not look that good. Do they just, hey, look, let's go see what we can get and how much can we get for Paul Skeens? And then I would ask, who gets more? If Skeens and Scooble both get traded, do the Pirates or the Tigers get more in return?
The Pirates should.
They should.
Because of, but they won't because they're the Pirates. A couple things to clean up here. So the Connor Griffin thing, the initial reaction from Pirates manager Don Kelly was that however they would proceed with him was going to be an excess of caution. They are still a little leery of the fact that he had his strained right forearm and missed most of the month in June. And so the Pirates are taking the long game position with Griffin. It was this morning that Pirates director of sports medicine Todd Tomzak said that Connor Griffin will miss 8 to 10 weeks because where's the actual number? I can't pronounce what I'm about to say here, but I wanted to give you the actual thing. It's a very, oh, there it is. It's a band that stabilizes the extender tendon and is a connective tissue that reinforces the support in his middle ring, left ring finger. There it is. It's a torn sagittal band, if you want to look that up. Sagittal. The concern is if you don't shut it down, it could like literally not rip your finger off your hand, but your finger would become useless if it's not allowed to just heal. So no grounding balls, none of that crap. Director of sports medicine says there was a bunch of options that were discussed and presented to Connor and the team through physicians. The best choice is non-operative care, 6 weeks of splint and immobilization to make sure that this can properly heal and return to the high function. That's this morning. That sounds to me like, 6 weeks in a splint. Okay, well, that gets us to September if he's going to come back at all, which takes me back to my question about how the Pirates are, and you started alluding to it, and what the Pirates do moving forward as we head towards the All-Star break. The trade deadline is about 3 weeks after. Yesterday, Pittsburgh Pirates first baseman Ryan O'Hearn made history by setting a club record, driving in 10 runs. Jesus. On 3 homers, 12-4, the Pirates beat the Braves. We'll get to the Braves later. Paul Skeens, as Steve mentioned, he's now 7-8. He picked up his first win in nearly 2 months as Pittsburgh won its 3rd straight. But you texted me yesterday, Steve, and they put it a different way. While Skeens, the reigning NL Cy Young winner, got the win and allowed 2 runs on 8 hits, it was a very workmanlike 6 innings, a walk, 4 strikeouts. His ERA is down to 3.58. You weren't quite as kind, but still as blunt. He didn't look good, is what you saw.
No, for Paul Skeens. He looked good for a average to good pitcher. You would take this. Hey, look, he gave up 9 base runners in 6 innings, but he labored. It wasn't an easy 6 innings. He struggled a lot, which is uncharacteristic for him. And I just continue to look at it saying that there's something wrong. He is too good to continue to look like an average pitcher at best.
So, and this continues kind of and I'm not trying to force this down anyone's throat. I'm not really a big believer in signs, but I do think at some point you step back and evaluate and go, where are we? Are we being honest with ourselves? Are we self aware? The Pittsburgh Pirates are in fourth place in the National League Central. They're 11 and a half behind the Brewers. They ain't winning. They're not winning the Central. However, we got this goofy wild card race thing that MLB instituted a decade or more or so ago, and Steve and I went, "Nah, don't do that. That's stupid. We're old." And it turned out to be pretty good for the game, even though they don't go anywhere. It keeps a lot of people interested all the way into October. So the Pirates in the National League wild card race, they're right there. The Cubs and the Phillies would get in today, as would the Marlins. Although the Marlins are only 2 games ahead of the Cardinals, and there's the Pirates. 3 games back, 5th for the National League wild card. So as the Pirates look at what's going on, Griffin's out until September, let's say. Skeens still not looking great. I asked you this question about Scooble yesterday, which we're going to get to next. You led me perfectly into the Pirates and then the Tigers thing. But the question was about what's the hurry? Why did the Tigers yesterday? Why do they need to trade Scooble? Trade deadline 3 weeks after the All-Star break. What about the Pirates? See, it looks bad to me for the Pirates. Griffin's out. Skeens doesn't look good. They've got to deal with Atlanta again at home in Pittsburgh today and tomorrow. Then they got to host Milwaukee. Those are 5 tough games. They go 0-5 or 1-4 before the All-Star break. What if they go 5-0? And then what about when they come back, Steve? You got 3 weeks. They come back. Oh, boy. They go to Cleveland. They go to New York. They host Chicago. See, when I do this exercise, because I have it with like a half dozen teams, whether we do them all today or not, there's some teams where I just go, forget it. And the Pirates are one of them. Forget it. Yeah, I don't know if you said this. I want them to build for the future, however that looks like, but the future ain't 2026.
The thing with the Pirates, and you picked a great example.
Thank you.
They haven't been in the playoffs for so long. If you and I are running a team and it's that, look, we're not going to win, maybe we make a wild card. Our postseason isn't going to be a whole lot, but our goal is to win championships, and we're looking longer term, and we want to build off of this and be a winning franchise. But that's not what the Pirates are. They're a bad franchise. So from the fan standpoint, if they took our route and said, look, we're going to trade Skeens, we're going to get a huge haul, kind of like the Nationals did for Juan Soto with bringing in CJ Abrams, James Wood, these are other players, great. That would make the most sense. But we know the Pirates aren't going to do that. They're not going to get the talent. They're not going to compete. They just go, oh, yeah, another year we don't make the playoffs. So I'm kind of hoping they go all in and just try to make the playoffs, take that part of what they're the Major League Baseball's longest tenured team to not make the playoffs. They have the longest run right now, and take a shot, even though we know we're not going to win. Because if they go and they sell off Skeens and are sellers at the break, aren't you as a Pirate fan just going, why am I rooting for them? They get a decent team. We're X amount of games out of the wild card. Maybe we can get lucky and take off. And Connor Griffin going down it hurts, but we have a future. But that future, just because of the organization, is never bright. It just so gosh, it's such a tough situation.
Well, when you were describing the Pirates, or when you were describing teams that winning is what matters, this is who we are, and you said that's not the Pirates. You're right, but it was the Pirates of the 70s and the 90s that you and I remember. They were that franchise once. They were the Willie Stargell and then the Jim Leland and everyone else Pirates, the Bonds here, and now they're just. I'm with you. I have no faith they'll do the right thing or the good thing as they wind this down.
Yeah, and things change because even in the 90s, we had the free agency. But,
yeah,
they brought up Barry Bonds. They traded for Andy Van Slyke and brought him over from the Cardinals. So they made really good decisions. They had the pitching. Doug Drabeck, I want to say, came up with the Yankees and they traded for Drabeck and brought him in. So they made wise decisions and had a really good, fun team to watch. When was I'll give him credit, Rhino Hearn. I remember the
Yeah.
signing, and I'm like, another journeyman. Hey, they got to spend their money a little bit here. Let's plug a hole. Rhino Hearn's had a really good season, and yesterday's game, I mean, talk about having a breakout game: 3 homers, 10 RBI. But he's had a really good season for them. But they've had the draft picks, they've developed some good young talent, and they still can't win. I have no faith that this franchise will ever figure it out.
You mentioned the Doug Drabeck trade. Think about how different that is in 2026 than it was in 1996 or whatever it was. The Yankees traded a star pitcher to the Pirates? No. It's supposed to be the other way around all the time because that's the world we live in now. By the way, if you look at this Pirates schedule, I mentioned they got to deal with the Braves and the Brewers as they limp into the All-Star break. And then afterwards, at Cleveland, at the Yankees, host the Cubs, host the Diamondbacks. It's a juggernaut. They go to Cincinnati. They go to Milwaukee. Finally, in mid-August, they could host the Mets and the Marlins. By then, they'll either be way out of it or so shockingly in it. But that's quite the run for Pittsburgh right after the All-Star breaks, which would be a week from Friday.
And at that point, it's already past the trade deadline.
Right.
So they need
True.
to figure this out now. What direction are they going? And Connor Griffin going down, that change. If Connor Griffin's playing, look, you got to be buyers. You have to make a run. You seriously have to do everything you can for your fan base to show that you want to win. And the Brewers are always sellers and we watch it, but the Brewers to the Pirates, the Brewers know how to draft, develop players, build the pitching. I mean, they keep picking up, Kyle Harrison for nothing, and he goes out there. They get rid of, Josh Hader and Corbin Burns, and they, Freddie Peralta, and they still find a way to win. Both teams are small market. They have the same thing, but one has a great front office owner and know what they're doing, and the other one has no clue. And just look at them side by side. If you're a fan trying to pick which team you want to cheer for, and neither one's going to win a World Series with how the system is built currently today, and that's why we're not going to have a season next year because they have to fix that. But if you're a fan, and you're picking between the two, it's night and day. You take the Brewers all day.
By the way, I don't think the Pirates need to figure this out right now. I do think they should be quietly fielding phone calls if they're close to the mindset you're talking about with Skeens to see what's out there. But they don't have to figure this out. I'm still not hearing why they have to figure it out right now. Like with the Tigers, I say the Pirates get through these 5 games, which are going to be brutal. Let's see how they do. Then they come back, they go to Cleveland, they go to the Yankees. Then they make a decision. Because they'll be back home on Friday the 24th. What is that? A week and a half before the trade deadline. It's at that point they can pull the trigger on somebody they've been talking to. I don't think they need to make the decision today. What if they go out and win? Imagine that without Connor Griffin.
I want to see it happen. I think the fans deserve the Pirates to really make a run. But unfortunately, my decision and thought is because they're a bad organization. And anytime you're even in the sniff of the playoffs, you got to make a run when you've been out for this long.
Especially if you're the Pirates. People forget, as we've documented, we just alluded to again, Pirates are a real organization. They're part of Major League Baseball. They are part of the structure of it. They're not the Guardians. Major League Baseball needs the Pirates. By the way, quick clarification, it's actually the Angels who currently hold the longest active playoff drought in Major League Baseball. Although you were half right, because the Pirates hold it if you break it down by leagues. For Major League Baseball, it's the Angels' 11 seasons. They have not been in the playoffs since 2014. The Pirates are second at 10 seasons, not since 2015. And then the Rockies have gone 7 seasons.
So then I would ask, which one would you rather be a fan of, the Angels or the Pirates? Because that's such a bad choice. And there's the Rockies in there, which is the worst of all, because I'd rather be an Angel or a a Pirate fan than a Rocky fan. But oh
That could
my
be
gosh.
that could be a fun exercise sometimes. You do it with all sports. But now wait. You've landed on the Rockies. This is who you'd rather be a fan of. Rockies or Marlins?
I like the Marlins team. I think they're
Yeah,
coming
you do like
along.
them.
I don't like their ownership. I'm really anti ownership there. Um,
Okay,
so
I got
that,
one more.
yeah.
Just because I'm looking at it through, because you're right, the Marlins are actually pretty surprisingly good this year, and I was using the franchise brain more than where everybody is, because God, the Angels, they're the worst franchise in baseball, right? At least, who was it? Oh, the Mets. What about the Mets?
I'd rather be a Mets fan because I know
Really?
my owner is die hard, wants to win. Money is not an object and will go out and spend. The Angels, their owner has come out and stated our fans don't care if we win. Winning is not the most important thing. Well, what? Okay, if winning's not going to be the most important thing, then it better be cheap food and cheap alcohol at the games. I better be getting dollar beers at every game I go to. Because if I already know you're not trying to win, then I might as well go eat and get drunk.
It has to be the A's, because I don't know why else I would be watching an Angels game on a Friday night, but I was very recently, either with my mom or a friend, and I can't remember, but the other person in the room pointed out the game was in Anaheim, LA, SoCal. And the other person said, "Why is nobody there?" I said, "Because it's Southern California. It's Friday night. There's a ton of stuff to do, and the Angels ain't one of them. They're not in the top 100 of things to do in Southern California that are fun. That's why it's empty on a Friday night at an Angels game, because it is. It's a terrible. There's another list we'll have to work on someday, too. Worst organizations, franchises in all of sports, where you get it to the worst at each sport, and then you go, this is the worst one. That's gonna take some time to work itself out. Let me jump over to the other break.
Hold on. Even if
quick.
you just live close to the ballpark in Anaheim, it's not even the best thing to do right there. If you say, because Disneyland's sitting right there,
Yes.
Knott's Berry Farm isn't very far. So, hey,
True.
how are we going to spend Friday night? I'd rather go get a half day pass or whatever it is at Disneyland and go spend 4 hours there than go to an Angels game.
I hear you. Hey, look, living in Southern California for 2 years, I'd rather just go down to Newport Beach, have some food and drinks at what is it, Johnny's? I mean, geez, the Angels.
Yeah, I was just giving it a bike ride, a little too far to be riding my bike
True.
to Newport, but
True.
just
That's
a
fine.
bike ride to entertainment, and I'm still not picking the Angels.
As I mentioned, there was a variety of breaking news, none of it like stop the world. Right before our show started, we go over to Detroit with the news that three-time Cy Young winner, 2011 AL MVP Justin Verlander did what we all wanted him to do, announce this is it. He will retire after the 26th season. He's 43 years old. He is the oldest active player. He has made only one start for the Tigers this season, been on the IL with left hip inflammation. That's what you get when you get old. You turn 40 and your hips, they just fall off. The right-hander has been named to the All-Star game as a legend pick. Fine, who cares? So that's the breaking news. No more Verlander. We've already done this to death, right, Steve? He's a Hall of Famer. He's with Scherzer and Kershaw. Last modern-day guys like that, and then we'll move into another group once Verlander and Scherzer both say, okay, we're done. We're out.
Yeah, the one thing I was disappointed in, and it's just, it's not really something to be disappointed in. I would have liked to have said him to announce his retirement following the All-Star game. He's done, not at the end of the season. I just look, go do your appearance at the All-Star game. I hope they put him on the mound, let him face one batter. The batter says, I'm not going to swing at a pitch. I'm going to let you strike me out. And that's how he goes down. I would love to have seen that. Because I don't know, what's he thrown 3 innings this year. I just, okay, do I really want to watch him on a Tigers team if they trade away Scooble, be one of the worst teams in baseball at the bottom, and watch him try to go out and win games? I don't want to see that. Let him All-Star game, make an appearance, let him walk away.
That's a really cool idea, especially because I think, again, depending on how long you've been a fan and your age, there's a lot of people don't appreciate just how good Justin Verlander was. And had he made that decision, obviously he went with the end of the season, that would be perfect. All-Star game, and do the Girardi. One of the best things Joe Girardi ever did was bring in Mariano Rivera in a way that allowed the fans, the network coverage, and everything else to stop the world. And listen to Enter Sandman one more. It's one of the greatest things ever in modern Major League Baseball.
Yes.
Mariano walking in to Enter Sandman for his last. Do the same thing. Whoever's going to start on Tuesday, let him go out in the second inning. Here comes whoever's managing the American League. Right arm. Here comes Verlander. Go nuts. One batter. I think they changed the rules, right? In the All-Star game. Get out to a standing ovation. End of career. That'd be beautiful.
And he would get it. I mean, he would get it. He's earned it. And what a wonderful way for us to remember him leaving the game.
More breaking news from Detroit. Kind of, sort of. Detroit Tigers third base coach Joey Cora gone. He just left the club in the middle of his third season because manager A.J. Hinch says they've got philosophical differences. Hinch was very nice about it. He said, quote, I love Joey. Joey loved being a Tiger. He's been instrumental. But like family, sometimes it just doesn't last forever. We both just agreed it's best for the players and everybody to separate, end quote, from A.J. Hinch. Cora, of course, native of Puerto Rico, brother of former Boston Red Sox manager Alex Cora. Both played in the majors for more than a decade. Nothing has leaked out that I've seen about what the philosophical differences were, but obviously enough that he was mouthing off to Hinch or Hinch to him to the point where they go, yeah, you're just going to have to go another direction.
I think both are professionals. I don't want to hear anything leak out. Let them go their own way, part on good terms. I like Joey Cora. I thought he was a really good, third base coach, and he did well with the Tigers. I have a ton of respect for Hinch as a manager, and I'd like it just to stay that way. Look, they're time to run old. It's like relatives staying at your house for a month versus a few weeks. It was just time to go. Let him go. Hopefully his brother Alex gets a job somewhere and he can go be the third base coach for him.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on the field, Tariq Skubal struck out 9 over 5 innings to lead the Tigers to a 6-2 victory over the A's last night. Skubal's now 5-4, struck out the side in the first. He left after 96 pitches. Meanwhile, the A's starter, J.T. Ginn, did what Ginn does. He held in there, allowed 2 runs on 2 hits in 4 innings, and then turned it over to the bullpen. And, of course, Detroit blew it open, because that's what happens when the A's bring in the bullpen. Thanks so much for that text last night, Steve, that the A's should trade the number 1 prospect in baseball, DeVries, back to the Padres to get Miller. And as I said to you, what's the point? What's the point? They're going to bring him in the 6th and he's going to throw 4 innings every game because there's no setup guys.
But the part that you missed on it is who is one of the pitchers I have harped on as hard as anyone. Jacob Lopez. A's call him up yesterday. They put him in. He relieves Ginn. He goes 3 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned runs, 1 walk. Blow up again. That's not your pitcher you want to come up and let him learn at the major league level. He's like 28, 29 years old. He's had his chance at the major league level, and he has proven he is not a good pitcher. And I put the blame on Lopez and the A's. Again, he didn't start. He's been relegated back to the bullpen, but he did it again. And where I was going with the A's is, they got DeVries, top prospect, minor league baseball shortstop. They got Wilson, shortstop, really good player. I think he's going to end up moving over to second base. But now you got the Corona Grower. Dude is a second baseman, shortstop, middle infielder. He's holding his own. I'm like, it's not like the A's need DeVries that bad. They have really good players. And I'm also watching the Padres games and going, Mason Miller going back. Miller's doing nothing with the Padres. Where's he going to go and take them? I don't believe they're going to trade him, but he has been unbelievable. And to add to the Mason Miller thing, Mason Miller, the last time he gave up an extra base hit, I'm not talking a home run, I'm saying a double, was like August or September of last year. He's gone something like 214 straight batters where he hasn't even given up a double to him. add to the A's pitching, and I know you need that setup guys to get to Miller, or it doesn't do you any good. I understand that,
Do you?
but the Bogarts. I loved him in Boston, but Bogarts is still doing nothing in San Diego. Tatis is not going back to shortstop, and the Padres could use a good young shortstop. So that's where the trade thought came from. And they're not going to do it. I mean, there's a reason both teams made the trade they did. They're not going to say, oh, hey, look, I wish I could take it back. And both of them agree to take it back. It's not going to happen. I just wanted to throw that at you.
By the way, a couple things. This Josh Kurata Grauer guy, who's yet another shortstop, I mean, he's just lights out. He's played 7 games for the A's. He is 12 for 26 with a 462 batting average. It's like he just finds a way to get on, and they can't keep him out of the lineup. To the A's pitching staff, to get slightly ahead of us, Steve's best friend, Jeffrey Springs, is throwing today, about 4 hours from right now, against Troy Melton in Detroit. Have you warmed at all to Jeffrey Springs?
No, not at all. In fact, I'm warming up to Trey Melton. This kid just continues to look good. He is, I mean, talk about a guy who could turn into an ace quickly. I know he's 4-1 on the season, but his ERA sitting around 2. His whip for the season is 0.80. He has been lights out. His whip in his last 3 games is 0.49 with an ERA of 1. He is looking like he could be an ace, which would be a nice, hey, look, we have to lose Skubal, but Melton fits in here nice to go along with Mize. You still got Flaherty sitting there. But Melton has been unbelievable. I didn't see him being this good. So I've been enjoying seeing what he could do.
That's today's game in Detroit. The Tigers in the American League Central, they're in 4th place, but they're only 6.5 back of the Howardians. Tigers have won 3 in a row and 7 of their last 10. In the wild card race, Detroit is 5 games back. I mean, they're way down there. You got the Yankees or the Rays, they'll go. The Howardians or the White Sox, they'll go. And you've got the Rangers as of right now. Steve says, forget that. Rangers aren't going to make it. That would put the Astros and then the Twins and then the Blue Jays. Steve's Red Sox, they're all ahead of the Tigers. But the Tigers are only 5 games back. Skubal looked pretty good yesterday. What's the rush? Let the Tigers finish off the A's today and tomorrow. Then they got to host Philadelphia. And then after the All-Star game, they go to the Angels. And they go to Chicago. And they host the Royals. And they host the Orioles. And in the middle of the trade deadline, they host the A's. Those are impressive teams, Steve. What if the Tigers do something there? I just gave you 4 or 5 series. Maybe they win.
You keep thinking like my rush is today. My rush is the trade deadline.
Right. But that's August.
And I do believe that Melton makes it, in my opinion, more likely that they trade Skubal because they have a guy who could step up in there with one of the better starting staffs in baseball, help ease that pain if they move him on, and allows the Tigers to build for the future versus getting no return. So I'm not saying they got to move him today. They need to be listening today because they need to find the best offer that they can get. But Melton has been a pleasant surprise. And to hit on Jeff Springs, when you hit it there again, Jeff Springs last 3 outings, 14 innings, ERA of over 9.5. And what do I keep hitting on? 5 home runs in the last 14. The guy can't get anybody out. They score a ton of runs, and he can't keep the ball in the ballpark.
No, he's terrible. I get that. Now, the trade deadline's a month away. That's all. Like I said, the Pirates should be listening. The Tigers should be listening. But now we got this new guy. What's his name? Melton, that you love?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you keep, if you could, Skubal? What a staff. I mean, we're presuming the Tigers aren't going to pay him. I don't know. Maybe after the collective bargaining agreement, they would. Why not keep, especially with where the Tigers are? I'm making the Tigers case here. That's all. They're only 5 games back. You've said most of this season, the Central and the West in the American League may or may not get a wild card. It may take winning. We don't know. But I think that's a very valid position to have, which would put us back to why now, or even in 3 weeks, do the Tigers have to trade Scooble? Why don't they see where they're at? And if the Tiger, let me throw this at you to make my point. The Tigers keep Scooble and they get into the postseason. Are they a valid contender in the postseason?
No. I think they match up for starting pitching. And if they're all their starting pitchers are lights out, go deep into the games, they find enough. Because Dingler's having a nice year. I've been praising McGonigal all season long. Riley Green's had a really good year as well. They need the Torkelsons to step up, the Zach McKinstry's to do something, the Matt Vierlings. They need these guys to start doing, and they need to get Kenley Jansen out of that bullpen and have somebody else there. They're not a good enough team. And if the Tigers were going to sign him, they would have already signed him. And I know what you said. Boris was his agent.
Right.
But Boris being an agent, and I think there's a little truth to what I'm saying in the comparison here, really hurt the Tigers because we watch these teams now locking up these players early on in their career so they can get them at what turns into a team-friendly deal. Tigers should have signed Scooble to like an 8-year contract, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You could see it from the moment he hit the bigs that he was going to be dominant. You could see it with Mizorowski. You could see it with Paul Skeens. You can see it with these players. And they're still at that point early on if they have what I believe to be a different agent to go, hey, look, I can sign this. I can go sign an 8-year, $100 million contract. I don't have to worry if I blow my shoulder out or something happens. I'm set for life. I still, if I was them, would make it a short enough contract so I could still get a monster contract, a second one in my career. But I do believe for players, you need to get that lifetime stability when you can, which is where I can't blame these players like Connor Griffin. Hey, look, what do you get? Like a 7-year, $150 million contract. Well, okay, it puts him at 27. He's at the peak of his career. He can go get the monster deal. But if he blows his knee out, let's say that his finger with the joint never heals again properly and he loses the use of his ring finger on his left hand and he can never play baseball again, he still has that generational wealth. And that's the part that I give the Braves and these other teams credit for, is recognizing the future for that player early on in their career to reward them. And as a player, I'm sorry, I would take it. If you would give me a 5-year, $50 million contract and I'm like, okay, I lose 2 or 3 years of free agency, I'm taking it because I know I'm set and injuries can happen.
You've essentially, whether you meant to or not, and it was for different reasons in each case, lumped the A's, the Tigers, and the Pirates in the same category. Because, by the way, the A's are the exact same as the Astros in terms of games out of first, games out of the wild card. Are the A's a competitor right now if they make the postseason? No. I mean, Ginn and Gage Jump might keep you in a couple games. That's it. Pirates, Tigers, A's, 3 teams, all doing surprisingly well-ish compared to what was expected or their market size or whatever, and none of them, according to you, and I agree, with a chance to go anywhere if they do make the playoffs. Now, we've kind of done this in a backwards way. That list is really short, isn't it? In the American League, let's just do the American League. If you make the playoffs, who's an actual contender? Yankees? Of course. Rays? I mean, they're in first by 4. Are the White Sox really a contender in postseason? Are the Guardians? Are the Mariners? Are the Astros? Those are your teams. Who in the American League, who's a real contender once we're down to 5-game and 7-game series? Yankees and Tampa. That's it.
I think Yankees and Tampa. And I think the Yankees will be all right. I mean, Max Fried will be back here, I think, beginning of August. Carlos Rodon is going to be back the beginning of August as well. The problem with the Yankees is I don't know if you've watched them lately. This has become a extremely bad hitting team, and to
Awful.
they led the league up through like the middle of June in walks. So really good eye. They built it on. We're going to walk. We're going to hit home runs. That's what we're going to do with this offense. The last 3 weeks, they're the worst team. I mean, what are they struck out 17 times in a row, 2 games in a row? They lost their identity. They've lost what made them the Yankees. And I don't understand it. I mean, they had 2 guys who struck out 4 times in that starting lineup in yesterday's game. That's not the Yankees. I don't know what's happened to them, how they could have ditched their philosophy or the whole team not just go into a slump. That can happen. Teams just can't hit. We saw the Phillies do that early on in the season when I think they were sitting like 28th or 29th in batting averages. But they didn't go from the best walking team to the worst strikeout team with a flip of the switch. You can't lose your control of the strike zone that fast. And the Yankees have, and I cannot for the life of me figure it out.
More on the Yankees and the rest of Major League Baseball. 5-ish games left until the All-Star break. We've got NBA news, NFL news, and more after this.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. If you've never heard of microseal, let me tell you what it isn't. It is not a really small marine mammal. Get it? A microseal? Oh, fine. Just ask AI. AI describes microseal this way with a bunch of AI words. Microseal is a premium, eco-friendly, and biodegradable fabric protection spray that penetrates deep into fibers to provide permanent stain, soil, and sun fade resistance for rugs, furniture, and delicate fabrics. It uses nanotechno blah 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 and blue 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 blue. What AI is trying to say is that microseal is non-toxic, non-allergenic, safe for pets and children, and although AI doesn't say this, it should, you need to contact a longtime maggot Joel from AdvantageSteam.com right now to get him to apply microseal for you. You can even make appointments online at AdvantageSteam.com. We've had microseal for years at Williams Manor, and it treats a lot more than carpets. Microseal protects virtually all fibrous materials, including wool, cotton, silk, suede, leather, and synthetic fabrics. It protects upholstery, carpets, rugs, draperies, and clothing, including wedding dresses. And ladies, you're going to need what? 3 or 4 of those in your lifetime. And it protects against stains, moisture, and UV degradation without changing the texture. Also, if you're an interior designer, Joel has a special program just for you, and all you have to do is say the password, which is what? What? There's no password, I guess. Never mind. Whoever you are, contact Joel at AdvantageSteam.com. And if you're an interior designer, tell him, I guess. I don't know. That's AdvantageSteam.com, where you'll learn more about MicroSeal and everything else that Joel offers. At AdvantageSteam.com, that's AdvantageSteam.com, AdvantageSteam.com.
The Rob and Steve Show on the Rad Network. Let's get back to it. Email Rob and Steve, RAS@theradnetwork.com.
Got a little football news during the offseason. Things are starting to heat up. We're getting media days, more signings, free agencies, interviews, etc. And Deion Sanders. See, IRS, Deion Sanders, Buffalo's Colorado shirt. See, it's a business expense. Yesterday was media day. It was a year ago that Deion Sanders, the coach of Colorado football, attended with a sweatsuit under his business suit to disguise the fact he had lost 15 pounds recovering from bladder cancer. He looked weak, couldn't stand up at times, but yesterday delivered to reporters, hundreds of reporters, to a news conference, the message that, quote, "I'm here with full strength, full energy. I got my swagger back. I got my charisma back," end quote. Colorado went 3-9 last year. Meanwhile, Deion has flipped the roster yet again, brought in new coaches, new OC, new DC. USA Today network reporters collectively predicted Colorado would finish 15th out of 16 teams this year. That's the same as last year. Senior safety Ben Fineseth says it pisses us off. We're going to prove you wrong. We do it every time. It makes us have to kick into high gear. Sanders has a new quarterback, redshirt freshman Julian Lewis, who's only 18 still, has been praised for his progress in the Colorado go-go offensive system under the new OC. On top of that, Deion has a bevy of more than 40 new transfer players who were brought in under a plan similar to that used by Indiana on its run to the national title. Favors production over potential. 24 of Colorado's 42 new scholarship transfers come from outside the Power Four conferences, but all of them were former starters. Kind of brings us closer to the question I started the show off with, Steve. Colorado is coming off a dismal season. They lost 7 of their 8 final games. They went 1-8 in league play. They finished number 112 in the country in total offense, 121 in total defense. They struggled with unreliable quarterback play and a run defense that ranked 133 and out of 134 in all of major college football. Colorado kicks off their season September 3rd at Georgia Tech, Sanders' 4th season, and his record so far has been 4-8 and 9-4, and the opening season, and that brings us to, Steve, and then last year, where they go 3-9. Should we be listening to Deion still? When he came in, you were at the forefront of this. You said he's transforming this. He's doing. You said, and we can look back now and know you were 100% right. Deion NIL'd college football before college football understood it. He was all over it, and he built an extraordinary program. A lot of hype. It's Deion. Not so much lately. Other than the fact it's Deion and he's highly entertaining, should we even be paying attention?
No, I think this is his prove it year. We'll find out if enrollment at Colorado University is still big and they're paying his salary by the students that are going to the college, the merchandise sales, and all of those things which made Deion so valuable on the football field outside of the one season. And the one player is like, oh, they do this for us every time. Well, 2 of your 3 seasons, you've been terrible. 4 wins, 3 wins last year. The only season they've been any good was the 9-4. We heard all the hype last year on how they were going to be improved from their 9-4, and they're going to go on to win the Big 12. They brought in a 5-star quarterback. They had all this depth. They were going to be able to run the ball, and not only was their offense, as you said, 112th in the nation, they were one of the worst running football teams in college football. Their defense wasn't the greatest. I think he needs to prove it this year. I'm not sure if they're not making the money and all the other things that he was able to explode that university into cash. If he's not doing that anymore, I think he's gone at the end of this year. And he was on the forefront. He understood how the NIL and all of that worked. Give him credit. But every school in college football now understands it and has moved in that direction. And he has not proven to be a good enough recruiter. I don't believe he has anywhere near a big enough budget to compete with those teams for that NIL money. He doesn't have that kind of NIL money to bring the great players there. I would be copying Indiana as well, but all of college football caught up with him, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the college football is out Deoning Dion. Now, with his name, Steve, and a little bit of success, is Dion still somebody that will be looked at, though? He's Dion. Will the NFL still look at him and go, I don't know, maybe he'd have to start as an assistant coach, but it's not like this is it, right?
I don't think this is it. I think that the NFL, I'm not sure the NFL will look at him. And I don't believe he has any desire to be an assistant coach. So I'm kind of putting the NFL at a no at this point. But man, for putting your program on the map and getting recognition, and I mean, what the top 2 merchandise sale players in the NFL last year were, Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter. I mean, he's doing something right. He's a great PR guy, and that's why I don't think he's going to go away. Even if he leaves Colorado, I think he's going to land somewhere else because of just the recognition you get from Dion, the way he promotes. And I do believe he still has that connection to be able to recruit. I'm glad to see he's putting an emphasis on production and not just flash, because when you look at Dion, you see a lot of flash, but what made Dion was his production. I mean, he's arguably the greatest cornerback to ever play the game in the NFL and college football. So he backed it up. The problem with Colorado is he's had the flash, but there hasn't been anything to back it up. And some universities still going to be willing to take the flash without the backing it up. So I think he'll still get another shot once he leaves Colorado.
Well, and you mentioned multiple times when we've talked about Dion over the last couple of years, the enrollment thing. There's so many ways that a guy like the head coach of a college football program can influence a university beyond wins and losses. The University of Colorado Boulder has seen an increase in enrollment consistently since 2021, the year before Dion came there, and it's continued to grow. Fall of 21, it was 36,500 people. Fall of last year, 38,800, and it has continued to go up. It has not in any way waned, but the growth from 25 to 24 was less. What will the enrollment be like fall of 26, you're saying, is something that should be looked at within this whole picture of, has the bloom come off the rose of the Dion University of Colorado thing?
And I'll use you as an example. Would you be wearing a Colorado Buffalo sweatshirt right now if Dion wasn't there?
No. I'd be wearing a Dion thing.
Oh, okay. See, and that's part of it. The sad part is even if he starts winning a little bit, and I'm not saying going on to championships, winning the Big 12, he's going to get an AD at some point that's going to say, look, we're not going to give you credit for the student body increase at the university and the millions of dollars that the university makes because of your glitz glamour, and people like to be around you. They're going to say it comes down to what you do on the football field. And I think his time will run out.
By the way, one other Dion related note, the new edition of the EA Sports College Football franchise does not include Dion. People whose names, images, and likenesses are used in the EA video games have every right to insist on being paid. That's what the NIL is all about. EA gets paid. And if EA isn't willing to meet the price, then the person simply isn't in the game. And Dion confirmed yesterday that's exactly what happened. Quote, I'm not in the game because they're not paying enough. End quote. Dion continues to Dion.
Good for him. He has that ability. He's made enough money in his lifetime to not need that endorsement. and I don't make video games, as we know. Wouldn't it be cool if somebody said, you know what, we're going to bring in Dion, we're going to bring in the Flash, and I mean, if they can make it as good as EA Sports, which I don't think they can, let's use Dion and sell a video game.
Yeah, instead of Madden, let's just bring out Dion. It'll be
Yep.
Madden for the NFL, Dion for the NCAA. Why not?
Yes.
Speaking of college football, the first CFP bracket predictions are out. Yes, it's that time of year. Nothing's going on. Eventually, ESPN got together their college football experts, and they narrowed it down to the 12 qualifiers. Their final count includes 4 SEC teams and 4 more from the Big 10, and then from the final 12, you can figure out if you're going to predict who the winner is. Do you have a major, like, you've got to be kidding me, Steve, of their 12 qualifiers, which are Miami, Notre Dame, Texas, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Indiana, LSU, A&M, USC, and Boise State? Do you hear any of those and go, you got to be kidding me? Notre Dame, Miami, Texas, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Indiana, LSU, A&M, USC, Boise State, the qualifiers this season, as predicted by the experts from ESPN for the CFP.
I didn't hear you say Michigan. I mean, I hear USC with the 7th best quarterback room in the nation, but I didn't hear Michigan. I'll be honest with you, I haven't even looked at college football. You hit that topic and I went, wow, I haven't researched or looked at anything college football wise in months.
This has been what's so hard for me to embrace college football over the most of my lifetime until recently, is with college. Look, I didn't go to a major college, so I don't have that connection. That's the first missing link. And then just, they're all the players by definition. They're always leaving. You don't have the same connection that you do. I don't know anything about this list. I'm just reporting it because, hey, it's off season and it's the time, and there's the 12 that they came up with. By the way, Alabama, the Aggies, and USC were all mentioned as the most likely winners of the CFP by the majority, or the plurality rather, of the people that they asked. Alabama, the Aggies, and USC. I mean, it is June or July or whatever. They can do whatever they want. That is a little out there for me.
Alabama and USC as the top 3. I'm not sure I'm buying that one.
No, which is why, like what we do in July and June with the NFL, we make predictions that are totally not official. Our official predictions come the first week of September. So that's what they're doing here. Hey, let's just tell you who's going to win the CFP. You got no idea.
And see, if Arch Manning is the favorite to win the Heisman, where's Texas in this? If Arch Manning wins the Heisman, you're telling me that Texas is not one of the top 3 teams in the nation? I don't buy that just based off of how history goes.
Yeah, they make the 12, but they're not one of the 3 mentioned that will win the college football playoff championship, which apparently will be either USC, the Aggies, or Alabama, all a little hard to swallow at this point.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
The first time Corey walked into my home, I came around the corner, extended my right hand to shake it, and said to him, "Wow, you're big." And that would be Corey from QuickDumpsters.com. Quick is spelled wrong intentionally. Quick, Q-U-I-K Dumpsters.com. That's QuickDumpsters.com. Corey's yet another maggot launching his own locally owned and operated business, and boy, did I need him, and really we all do. Things pile up, you get frustrated, you keep saying, we need to make a dump run. Pretty soon it's more than a dump run, and now you need to rent a truck or have one of those ugly upside down box cars parked in front of your house that you fill up yourself. Or you do like I did, you call Corey at QuickDumpsters.com. In my case, my house had fallen into complete disarray as my late wife Christina had lost her 2-year battle with congestive heart failure, and amongst the many things left were gathering her things and finding what to donate, what had to just go in that pile of stuff where we were both going, why did we ever buy this? this. And it all could have been so overwhelming had Corey not just walked in, taken charge, and removed dozens of boxes of total junk, unusable dog kennels, desks that were falling apart, a worthless old smoker that couldn't be fixed, bag after bag of crap, and I can't remember what else. He was quick, spelled wrong, Q-U-I-K, quiet and clean. Well, he wasn't clean. I mean, he was. But I'm not commenting on his hygiene. I meant that his work was clean. He swept everything when he was done, and the house looked like he'd never even been there. Corey's the real deal, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to call him a brand new advertiser. His story is incredible, his dedication unmatched, and his motivation to succeed larger than he is, and that's saying something. Quotes are free. You don't even have to have them over to your house. Just send him some pics or videos, and you'll get your price, schedule your day and time, and watch someone else get that junk out of your house. Go to quickdumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, dumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, dumpsters.com. Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
For them, every day is a must-win. Huh? What does that even mean? Back to Rob and Steve. Email the show at res@theradnetwork.com.
More baseball to come at the bottom of the hour. There is a new study that was just released that finds NFL players are nearly 4 times more likely to die of neurodegenerative disease. This is not news to any of us that have been following this story for, a decade and a half. Of course, if you play a game professionally, half of which for most of these guys is played when your brain isn't even fully developed, and you get hit in that brain over and over again, you're going to be more likely to have some type of neurodegenerative disease. I don't know what this is, the attack on violence in football or whatever. I'll read the story. We'll talk about it when we need to. Back to basketball, the NBA. The Lakers have agreed to a 1-year deal with veteran center Kevin Looney worth about $4 million. And the Lakers continue to actively pursue unrestricted free agent wing Jonathan Kuminga. We talked about this yesterday. The story has gotten bigger and bigger as the Hawks declined Kuminga's team option. The next day, Lakers GM Rob Pelinka and coach J.J. Redick met with Kuminga the next day and pitched him on being a high-minute wing next to Luka. But the Lakers then went out and spent most of their money, and they haven't been able to put together a deal for Kuminga. Hasn't stopped their pursuit. Multiple members of the organization, including players, are reaching out and expressing their desire for him to join them. Pelinka has remained in touch with Kuminga's agent, but Kuminga has not jumped in. He and his agent believe there are still avenues to better deals as the offseason dominoes continue to fall. 2-part question, Steve. Where should Kuminga want to go? And is Kuminga the answer? Because the Lakers are acting like, God, that's all we need.
I think Kuminga is a really talented player, and we've seen this. When he's focused, He is really good. My problem with him is all those games he seems to just take off. I mean, coaches run out of patience with him. Yes, I think he can help the Lakers, but is he the missing piece that's going to put a team over the top? I don't think he's the great teammate. And, I put him more in the coach killer category of, he takes too many days off. They had, DeAndre Ayton there. They've moved on from him. You're kind of bringing back a player with that same type of mentality. Is that really the answer that you need? And you don't have the money. That's the part that I go to is you don't have the money. So I'm curious to see where he's going to land because he's a really good player. Um, but is he really going to help whoever he lands at win a championship? And until he changes that focus and decides he wants to play every day, I don't see him as being that great help that his talent, should be.
Meanwhile, your team, the Detroit Pistons, continue to make roster moves to bolster their teams. And hey, it wouldn't be an NBA offseason without a convoluted 6-team trade that's impossible to follow. Here are the highlights. The Pistons traded veteran guard Caris LeVert and 2 second-round picks to the Milwaukee Bucks for Torian Prince and Gary Harris. The deal allows Detroit to save money, creates a trade exception, and the Bucks will acquire LeVert and pick up additional assets. Pistons have been making moves to clear cap space. Then you got the Bucks, who now own 7 first-round picks and 4 second-round picks as they continue to rebuild in the post-Giannis era. There were other teams involved as well. Free agent Chris Middleton has agreed to a 3-year deal with the Wizards. It's a sign and trade deal involving the Mavericks, who had acquired Middleton from the Wizards ahead of the trade deadline in February. The other teams included are the Mavericks, the Wizards, the Pistons, the Bucks, the Grizzlies, and the Clippers. The Wizards are sending D'Angelo Russell, a future second-round pick, and a future second-round pick swap to the Grizzlies. And a week ago, the Pistons made a move to sign John Collins as a free agent on a 3-year, $51 million deal, and the 6-team trade helps to solidify that move. What's important in all that, if anything?
The Pistons are, I believe, still looking at, and Kevin Durant's one of the names that keeps coming up because the Pistons have been very high on trying to go on out and acquire him. But the Jalen Duren talk has disappeared. I mean, he was, I'm meeting with Sacramento. I'm meeting with the Lakers. The Lakers really love him. They want to bring him on board. Oh, they trade for Walker Kessler and they bring in Quentin Grimes, Mamu into that team as well. And it's been crickets with Duren. They still say he wants that max contract. I think the Pistons are looking at more trying to get him in that $30 million range, which right now he's not interested in any way. But there's no talk. I mean, I don't even know where he can fully go right now because I don't think there's anyone interested. There's talk of the Kings wanting him, but they got to move Sabonis to the Pistons for that. So on the whole, most of those players were traded before the free agency began, so we knew what was going on there. But I find it interesting on the Pistons side is Duren's been nothing, and the Kings have gone quiet. There's not a whole lot of anything other than DeRozan's been released from his contract.
Boy, wouldn't you love to be in the position to have, quote, no interest in the $30 million a year range? Oh, please. Oh, no. So as a fan of the Pistons, I'm not saying this is your window, but it's a window. I mean, Detroit, after years of suffering, they've shown up. How do you feel? This trade, like you said, it's actually really, that's why I put it down the trough. It's not really that big of a deal because we knew a lot of it was coming. But as a fan of the Pistons, are they with the East, which we've been documenting recently, getting more and more exciting with the Sixers and the Knicks and everybody? Where are the Pistons as a fan? Just as a fan, are you feeling good?
I like the moves that they've made. I do believe, and this is with Duren coming back. I think they're a better team this year than they were last year. They were the number one team in the East. Do I believe they're the number one team in the East? No, I do not. That they're a flawed team, but they're addressing those flaws. I want to see what this one big move, and I still believe they have it there. Something's going to happen. and see what that does. But I love the East. There's like 10, 12 teams. I mean, pretty much everyone but three. So I'd say there's 12 teams now that I think are there. If I had to put the Pistons, I would say they're probably sitting around four, maybe fifth in the East of what I think will happen.
I think LeBron should go to the Pistons. Why not? He'd be the guy to bring the championship back to the Motor City. Let's go with that.
The one I am getting really interested in, because we talked about the Sixers and how they have too many players who believe they're ones and want that ball all the time. Wouldn't it be great if he went to the Sixers? It's like, who now is really gonna captain this team, run the direction? I mean, Maxey, Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, add LeBron into that mix, which is why I don't think he'll go there. But if you did add LeBron, I've become so fascinated with who's really going to be the engine that drives the team, and LeBron would just make it the waters even muddier.
Wow. One other note from the NBA. People made a slightly bigger deal out of this than I thought they should. Maybe I'm wrong. New York Knicks star point guard Jalen Brunson underwent surgery on his left wrist Tuesday. Yeah. The NBA Finals MVP is expected to return to basketball activities later this summer. He, of course, played through the left wrist injury during the championship run and averaged 33 points. There are some people out there, this is more your area, Steve, when we get into sports betting, who are screaming and yelling that we weren't given total transparency over exactly what was going on with Brunson's wrist. Okay, so what? The Knicks won, and they won dominatingly. The injury wasn't affecting it. I don't know. Is it a transparency thing? It just in general?
I still complain about the transparency thing, but they won the championship. It didn't affect his play. What do you have? 45 in the deciding game for the Knicks to win the championship. It's not affecting his play anyway. I'm curious to know what exactly was the wrist injury, because it didn't affect his performance. I just think people are going to use this more in that, not today, but down the road, just building on his legacy. Look, he had a fractured left wrist on top of this, and he still went out there and willed the team to the championship. The greatest Nick, even better than Walt Frazier, just showing up type of thing. And I think really that's the part that's going to come out of this story more than anything, is just building on the Brunson legacy.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say,
stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. That's SueBerry, B-A-R-R-Y.com, SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040, Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 509, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
For them, every day is a must-win. Huh? What does that even mean? Back to Rob and Steve. Email the show at res@theradnetwork.com.
Let's get back to Major League Baseball. When we left off, Steve, you had alluded to the Yankees as we were talking about the various challenges of various teams. Those that are, at the All-Star break coming up this weekend, kind of sort of on the bubble. Do they go all in for a wild card? Tigers, Pirates, A's, Astros, division winners, whatever. You're going to go all in. You're going to go, we're sellers. We're going to stay back. But the Yankees came up. Seems like, barring something ridiculous, either the Yankees or the Rays will obviously win the American League East, and the other one will be the wild card. But I forget how you describe it. The Yankees, they look like an entirely different team, and they can't stop striking out. They lost 6-4 to the Tampa Bay Rays last night, whiffed 17 times, became the first team in American League history whose batters hit that mark in consecutive 9-inning games. Manager Aaron Boone said his team, which is now 4 games behind the Rays, won't change its approach, but he did acknowledge that some players need to get it going. Well, it's that kind of leadership we're looking for from Aaron Boone. We're not doing anything to change it, but you players, you really need to step up. So with the Yankees specifically, Steve, we've been talking about parallel universes with the Dodgers and stuff, and the Yankees have their players coming back. They've still got Judge on the IL, and where do they stand, etc. New York fans are always a little, and they're starting to get a little bajiggity. 4 games back, they lose to the team they're in a race with. Is this all typical New York overreaction crap, or you seem like you're legitimately scratching your head going, I don't know what's going on with the Yankees?
The Yankees hit this part of the season every year and tend to slump. And the part that I don't get what's going on, Goldschmidt, 0 for 4 Ks. Goldschmidt has a great knowledge of the strike zone. He should never be striking out 4 times in a game, and I'm not sure he ever has prior to this. Boone, to me, I've had a problem, and I've been saying he should be fired for the last several years. Yes, the Yankees are a really good team, but they miss on the fundamentals. And we saw it when the Dodgers beat them in the World Series. Yeah, they're talented, but they don't play solid fundamental baseball. You got Boone sitting there right now going, no, we're not going to change a thing. We're just going to ride the course. You got to do something. You got to quit striking out and being the worst team, something happened somewhere that you went from the best walk team in baseball to the highest strikeout team in baseball over the last 3 weeks. The Yankees, though, they have the money. They'll go out, they'll find a player, they'll add them to this team. I'm not worried from that end, which is why I still believe no matter what's going on, they'll find a way to make the playoffs. And with that pitching, when Freak comes back, Rodon comes back, Garrett Cole's got to get right. He's going tonight's game, but Garrett Cole, he's been missed a lot of baseball the last 2 seasons, and he's coming back. He's 3-3 on the year. His ERA is over 4, which is very uncole. Like his ERA over his last 3 is over 7. So he's got to figure it out, but it's just getting back into shape. Throwing the ball and all that. And I think come the end of the year, he'll be all right. But where the Yankees, when Judge first went down, the pitching stepped up. Well, Ryan Weathers and Will Warren are not getting the job done anymore. So their rotation is really leaking. And now with the strikeout at an unbelievable clip, it's starting to concern me a little bit as what are they going to be able to do to fix this. August, September, they'll be all right. But what if they end up giving up and Tampa Bay wins the next 2? They're up to 6 games up. Next thing you know, by the All-Star, by the end of July, the Yankees are double digits out. That's just too big of a hill to climb.
You talked about the fact Garrett Cole is going today. That game is on Prime Video, so if you have Amazon, you can watch it 3:40 West Coast time. Tampa Bay's throwing Shane McClanahan, and you've been pretty high overall on Tampa Bay this season.
Yeah, I like their pitching. Shane McClanahan, to me, is their ace of the staff. He's having a pretty good year. He was injured the first part of the season, 7-5 ERA of 3, but he's figured it out. The last couple of starts have been a lot better. He's 1-1, but his ERA is down to 2.4. You add in Drew Rasmussen, and if you ever really follow me, I believe in that pitching, which is why I've always said I still think Seattle's the best team out west because of that starting pitching. Nick Martinez has had a good year. Ian Seymour, who went for the Rays yesterday, has been lights out at home. This was one of those games that I had flagged yesterday. I really like Tampa Bay in this outing. And Tampa Bay, they're not going to hit a ton of homers, but that top of the lineup, when you look at Diaz to Aranda to Caminero, that's a really good 1, 2, 3, and they create pressure. They got, Simpson with some speed and plays really good defense. It's a solid team. They're not going to beat you with the long ball like some of these other teams, but they put pressure on you, and the pressure with that starting front 3 is tough to beat.
So the Rays are in first place by 4 games over the Yankees. Rays have won 7 of their last 10. Yankees have lost 8 of their last 10. On the other side of the dial, the Atlanta Braves. They're still 14 games over 500. They've lost 3 in a row. They've lost 7 of their last 10. And the Yankees and the Braves are being mentioned together, not about Tariq Skubal, although they're mentioned in that. But a lot of people are starting to write about both the Yankees and the Braves as being the place, the top landing spot. Despite several injuries to key contributors, the Braves have sustained their status as one of baseball's top teams, but that lead has dwindled all the way down to 2 games over the Phillies. It is all but guaranteed, according to the Sporting News, that the moment he's available, he will be wanted by nearly every contending team, but the Yankees and the Braves are the farthest in for Sandy Alcantara from the Miami Marlins, who is he's having a great year. He's pitched 123 innings. He's lights out, but the Marlins are in it, Steve. Are the Marlins selling?
Man, this is the problem with the Marlins is Alcantara has been on the block, I want to say, for the last 2 years. They've been looking to move him. They're not going to sign him long term. They want to get whatever they can get for him. He's having a solid year. One of the things that I like about Alcantara is he goes deep into games. I mean, if you're going to sit down and say, look, I want a pitcher that's going to go 7, 8, 9 innings, this is the guy. He wants the ball. He wants to stay in the game. He doesn't like coming out. He's not that max velocity at all times. Let me throw 100 pitches in 5 innings and I'm good. He knows how to pitch, and the Marlins price tag has been so high on him, which is why he's still with the Marlins. I'm curious to see how far down they're gonna be willing to drop that, and or will a team finally step up and say, look, we have to do something. The Braves pitching has been so desperate this whole season. I mean, what, Carlos Carrasco been like cut 5 times or whatever. Martin Perez keeps getting cut. They keep bringing him back because they don't have anything else. They've had so many injuries. We don't know if Strider's going to make it back. And they're a really good team. And where I felt they can compete with the Dodgers, they need to make a move. They need to get another front of the rotation starting pitcher and get healthier. Acuna being out has really hurt this lineup as well. But they do have players who can hit. It's just they're pitching right now. I mean, they're a walking mash unit.
So the Braves are only 2 games up now.
Yeah, they were 10. I mean, think about how many games they were up on the Phillies. Roll back to when Mattingly, when Rob Thompson got fired, weren't the Phillies like 14 games out or something like that at the time?
Yeah. And now they're 2 games back. And that brings you to the question. Braves went out last night, lost to the Pirates. They've got to play the Pirates twice more in Pittsburgh. They finish up before the All-Star break in St. Louis. Are the Braves in trouble? Should the Braves be? I mean, you said they need to make a move. When they come back from the All-Star break, they host Texas, San Diego. They go to Baltimore. They go to the Mets. They go to the Nationals. They've got time where they're playing mediocre teams by their standards. Today, Atlanta's at Pittsburgh. They're throwing Grant Holmes at Jared Jones. With that game and with everything else going on, are the Braves as simple as they're one move away for a high-quality pitcher, or is there something else going on again in Atlanta?
I still think Atlanta is a good enough team to make the playoffs. I'm not sure they're going to hold off the Phillies. I mean, they just keep bleeding it out right now. They're just not playing good baseball. Lost 3 in a row, lost 3 of their last, 3 and 7 in their last 10. But they got good. I mean, Michael Harris is having a solid year. Albies, Matt Olson is having a good year. Drake Baldwin, I love him as a good young catcher. So they have the lineup. They have some pitching. They just need to get healthy. And Acuna being out of the lineup really hurts because they can't lengthen that lineup because Austin Riley, and I don't know what's going on with him, but this is a couple of years in a row. He's been awful. And you roll back like 3-4 years ago, and he was one of the better third basemen in all of baseball. And he's just disappeared. They got Yastrzemski out there. They brought him in, thought he would, help. But I think Giant fans know what kind of player he is. Yeah, he has some good moments. He can play some defense, but he's just not, a middle or top of the lineup guy. He's going to hit late in your lineup. He's not going to do that much for you. So they're really just trying to figure it out and get through this to get some pitching. And that's why I think they have to make some moves. They do. Pittsburgh, this team, shocking. What are they? One of the top 3 run scoring teams in all of baseball. They put 12 up on the board again. Thank you, Ryan O'Hearn, 10 RBIs. But Pittsburgh, if you would have rolled it back to the beginning of the season, great young pitching. Are they going to have enough offense? They have the offense. They're scoring runs. It's just their pitching isn't quite getting the job done. They got Jared Jones. I love his arm. Really talented young pitcher, but he's been hurt pretty much since he's hit the big leagues. He's 1-1 on the year, ERA over 5. It's just he's still trying to get back his feet under him and get back into the routine of throwing every 5th day. But Grant Holmes, you're throwing him out there. Grant Holmes is not a quality starter, even though he's 5-4, ERA over 4. His whip is 1.4. His whip in his last 3 outings, 1.8. And this is where I'm like, the Braves just don't have enough pitching because Grant Holmes, they have to keep running him out there. Martin Perez, who has been fantastic when you look at where he's at in his career. He shouldn't be getting anybody out, but he's had a nice season so far for the Braves. But Martin Perez, as one of your regular 5 starters that you got to march out there, your team's not going to win if he has to be one of your starting pitchers.
By the way, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 6th in the majors in runs scored. They are they're 5th in the National League, and they have scored more runs than every single team in the American League except for the Yankees. As
think about that.
Right? The disparity between the two leagues, the Pirates, 5th in the National League, have scored more than every other team in the American League except the Yankees. That's it. They've scored more than the Rays, the Red Sox, the White Sox, the Tigers, and the Mariners. End of list in the American League with a positive run differential. And Pittsburgh is ahead of all of them except for the Yankees in terms of runs scored.
Yeah, they got some good Mangum, really good center fielder. Nobody knows who he is. Brian Reynolds is having a solid year again. It just, you look at the lineup and it doesn't scare you, yet they continue to contribute. I mean, Valdez playing right field's hitting over 300. They find ways to get it down, which is so uncharacteristic for the Pirates. And O'Neill Cruz has been out now for a while, and he was their big young talent along with Ailey De La Cruz. With the Reds, they were those star shortstops that came up. They realized, O'Neill Cruz can't field the ball at shortstop, so we got to move him out in the outfield, and hopefully we can hide him a little bit and he can learn to play a decent center field.
So this is a good time. This is a good time. This is good for baseball. You try not to think about whether there's going to be a season next year. We're days away from the All-Star break, and with the exception of one team that we're about to talk about, things are starting to kind of settle in and get exciting. The Braves, what the hell are they doing? We have a race in the National League East. You've got the Yankees. They're striking out. They struck out 17 times in a game, 2 games in a row. Weren't we on this show bemoaning the A's for striking out 19 times total to start the season in a 3-game series?
Yeah, the A's started off with just an unbelievable amount of strikeouts in that opening series against Toronto, I think it was. And we were all over them. This is 34 Ks in 2 games.
And that was 19-3. That is, it didn't take me until I thought of that while you were talking. The gravity of striking out 17 times in back-to-back games, because then I started thinking about that A's series going, wait a minute, the A's somehow stayed close to the Blue Jays in that opening weekend, but it was still painful to watch. 17 a game.
And if you don't go extra innings, there's only 27 outs. I mean, if you tell me I'm striking out, half of my outs are strikeouts, I'm going, and slightly more because obviously 27 is an odd number, but I would go, oh my gosh, you can't. They're way past that. We're talking 17 out of 27. That's unheard of.
So the Braves and Yankees, as of right now, halfway through the season, they're coming back to earth. We'll see. Maybe it all settles out come September and they're back big. The Dodgers, don't worry, they've got their lead. They're still the Dodgers. I alluded to it yesterday. Shohei Ohtani had hit his 299th career home run, so we were going to have to go on the Shohei watch every goddamn day, and if he doesn't hit a home run, he's in a slump. Well, thank you, Shohei, for taking care of this. In the first inning against the Rockies last night, he led off the game with a home run, the 300th of his career. Of course, he played for the Angels as well. So if you're wondering where he stands among the Dodgers' all-time franchise home run leaders, he's got a long way to go. Ohtani has hit 129 of those home runs during his 3 seasons with the Dodgers. Doesn't even put him in the top 10. Totally unfair question, Steve. Do you know who the leader is? Lifetime Dodger home run leader, old school, old name. You know it, but it's old. 2 of them are at the top. Top 2 are old. There's one current. Top 5 are old, except for that one.
Man, Duke Snyder?
Yes, Duke Snyder, 389 home runs. By the way, Steve does not Google. That was not a time-wasting technique on his part or mine. Duke Snyder, 389 home runs as a Dodger, followed by Gil Hodges. And then the only name you know if you're under 40, Eric Karros is 3rd on the list, followed by Campanella and Ron Say. What an old-school Dodger list. Muncy, Garvey, Kemp, Furillo, and Piazza round out the top 10, and then Ohtani.
Karros 3rd. That surprises me. I'd have lost on that. I'd have given, the Ron Say or or yeah, there's a decent amount of other players I'd have went to ahead of Karros.
Oh, if we would have done it in a more like generic friendly fashion and said top 10 all-time Dodger home run hitters, here's a list. And Eric Karros is on that list, I'm going right past him. He's not in the top 10. There's no oh, he's third. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, he if he makes my top 10, he's sitting at like 9 or 10, just going, well, Piazza got traded to
Right.
the Mets, so maybe he didn't get that far in there. And if you put the numbers, here's the 10 names, here's the 10 amount of home runs or whatever. And no way would I sit there and say, okay, Eric Karros hit how many home runs as a Dodger?
270.
I never would have given him 270.
Not a chance. Not a chance. That's 32 more than Campanella hit for him. Shohei, on the other side of the ball, fully recovered from his bicep injury that forced him to exit his recent game early. He is lined up to make his last start before the All-Star break on Friday. He's 8-2 with a 1.79 ERA as a pitcher, leading vote getter for the All-Star game. He will start as DH. He will not pitch in the All-Star game at the request of the Dodgers. They stay a billion games in first in the National League West, while the Rockies remain in last place. They rallied for a 4-3 victory against those Dodgers last night. Tonight, the Rockies will throw Ryan Feltner in the series finale against the Dodgers, who are throwing Sasaki out there.
Yeah, I want to touch on last night's game. I mean, the Rockies have been playing them really tough. They had the lead 4-3 going to the bottom of the ninth, and Freeman's at the plate. And you're like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
He's going to get a hit. And if you didn't watch it, so Freeman comes up, first pitch, umpire calls a ball. Catcher for the Rockies challenges, strike one. Second pitch, umpire calls a ball. Rockies catcher challenges, strike. And I just sat there and I said, this right here is exactly why I love the ABS system, because Freeman will be 2-0. Here you go. He's going to drive, get a base hit, drive in the runner, because I believe it was first and second, something like that at the time. He's going to get the base hit. They're going to tie it up. They're probably going to go on to win. But because of the ABS, he goes from a 2-0 count to an 0-2 count. They end up striking him out. Rockies win. And I'm like, yes, that is exactly why I love the ABS. I didn't bitch about anything. You know, if you're out of challenges, that's on you. You shouldn't have it. But that game, Dodgers would have won that game if there wasn't the ABS.
I watched a lot of baseball this weekend, and I noticed across many different teams, and I don't know, it's the time of the year, right? We're already at the All-Star break. People are tired. They've got a half season left. Some of them feel like they're out of it. They're a little chippy. Who knows what's going on in their real lives? But there were enough instances over the weekend that announcers were commenting on batters who were making comments to the home plate umpire, to the point where, and I wish I could remember the game, it wasn't an A's game, it wasn't a local game, it was a regional game, but they were able to catch on review the batter saying something to the ump, and you could read his lips. It was so clear. The ump looked at him and said, challenge it. It was so easy. It was because more and more players seemed to be getting chirpy, and the umps, who weren't, in my opinion, from what we were seeing, handling this very well at the beginning, they've nailed it now. They're just looking at the guys going, challenge it. And like you said, well, your team's out of challenges, so I guess you're going to have to trust me. That's it. There's nothing to say. And I'm with you. I'm just standing in my living room doing the same thing, going, challenge it or shut up. Next.
Yeah, it'd been 5-7 years that I'd been screaming at the box on my TV, and how many bad calls. I don't even go there. That thought doesn't even enter my mind. One of the other things, and I don't know if we've talked on this show before, but I find really interesting. You know, framing pitches were so big. Well, they don't necessarily need to frame pitches now that much until the team is out of challenges, because
Right.
it's just going to go by the ABS. But what you're seeing, if you pay attention to it, and I don't know if it was in like a Padre game or a Dodger game. It was a game last night. Catchers have gone to doing the opposite of framing it as a strike. They're trying to frame it as a ball to entice the batter. Ooh, look where he caught that. I need to challenge that now, to burn their challenges. And it's awesome because whatever game it was, this pitch was like clear. I mean, the ball was like two baseball sizes into the strike zone. and the catcher caught it and ended up pulling the mitt like behind the batter, like caught it, was in that motion of catching it, and it was a strike. And you see the hitter going like, should I challenge that? And he didn't, which is good because it was such a strike. But you will now notice the catcher's doing the opposite of framing to try to get the batters to waste those challenges, which I think is awesome.
I think the ABS, and we'll see, the automated ball strike system might go down in history as one of the greatest implemented technological innovations rather in professional sports. It has eliminated this petty arguing. It has sped up the game. And for real fans, well, let's start with this. If you're an amateur fan, a new fan, a returning fan, you just like it. It feels good. Games are quicker. There's not as much arguing. If you're really into baseball, if you're like Steve and I, you grew up playing it and watching it. Now we're at second level stuff, and I'm right there with you. I am watching this stuff like a hawk. The teams, how are these teams so bad at challenging? And then you watch them and you go, oh, that's why the catcher just challenged a call in the first inning for no reason. And then when they're out of challenges in the sixth, how did that happen? And you see them, they're changing. You talk about the reverse framing. They're doing the other thing as well, where they're moving the mitt and putting it in places to try to get a call, all to screw with the hitter, not the umpire, the hitter. And it's fascinating to watch. And the catchers, we know the catchers are the captains. They're also extraordinary at this as batters. It is fascinating to watch catchers hit now because they are on it like no one else. I don't have the stats. We'll do them at the All-Star break. It is fun to watch. It's a whole nother layer.
And I don't know if you saw it, but Randy Arozarena, outfielder for the Mariners the other day, used both of the team's challenges in his first at bat in the first inning. They were out of challenges the whole rest of the game because he challenged two pitches in his, lost them both. They were out. And then I think they went on and there was like 5 or 6 pitches that were clearly called wrong, called strikes that were clearly balls. And I just sat there watching. And again, in the past, I'd get so furious watching these guys. I'm like, go blame Randy Arozarena. You could have challenged that and got the pitch right, but he had to burn it in his lone plate appearance in the first inning and left the team handcuffed the entire rest of the way in the game. And I just, okay, they got a call wrong, but I don't care because he was stupid enough to burn them both right out of the gate. And those are things, the reasons I hated watching baseball. I watch a ton of baseball even then. But it was frustrating watching for the last 5 to 7 years that now I laugh about it. It no longer makes me upset. I'm like, there's stupidity. Look at them.
I think there's going to be a continuing amount of scrutiny and changes to the game as a result. In the beginning with the ABS, everybody was pretty casual about it. The manager, whether they meant it or not, or they were trying to send misdirection, a lot of the managers were like, whatever, whoever wants to challenge can challenge. Some teams said, no, only the catchers. Now we're halfway through it. And you're starting to see how these decisions affect your entire team in the win-loss column, like your example. Because when you said it, now I'm, 4 months, so you are too, into watching this and watching a lot of it, so I'm probably more immersed than most. When you said what he did, both challenges, lost them both in his first at bat, my thinking is, pull him! Now that seems extreme right now, might not be in a year. That's how important this is.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think this is the best thing I've seen hit baseball in a long time from my stress level. There's still things I don't like. Like I think the ball needs to be put in play more often. I hate the max velocity on every pitch and do that. So there's other, but this has taken my frustration out of watching games.
And other than the fact, and it is a fact, that for now, you can't take the human error out of it entirely, which has been the only source of frustration over the ABS in particular. The other thing, too, is that no one is complaining about it. The umps love it, the players love it, the managers love it, and most importantly, the fans love it. Everybody, it's not like instant replay in football when they rolled it out, and still to this day, maybe because they rolled it out so badly and because the NFL continues to refuse to use technology that exists, here comes baseball. No one doesn't like it. Like no one doesn't like the ABS. It's extraordinary. They deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah,
way that
think about what you just said. Nobody is we object to everything in life now. Somebody somewhere has a different opinion, and no one anywhere is sitting there saying, I wish they'd get rid of the ABS. That system's
no one.
just terrible. No
No
one
one.
anywhere says that.
This is a country that, no joke, I see the stories, I report on my other show. Every year we have 2 or 3 people call 911 because they don't get enough shrimp in their shrimp fried rice. And yet we have an entire sport of 1,500 grown men going, this is great. We love this new innovation. We mentioned the All-Star game, which comes up next week, next Tuesday. Yesterday was the day Major League Baseball announced that Pirates pitcher Braxton Ashcroft, the Cardinals closer Riley O'Brien, and the Phillies left-hander Jesus Luzardo were added to the National League All-Star roster. So out went Zach Wheeler, who wasn't named, and he tied a career high with 14 strikeouts. The Phillies defeated the Reds 4-1, and after the game, Wheeler was asked about it, and he said for sure it was a motivator. Quote, "That game for me was a reminder for whoever needs to be reminded. It pisses me off. I feel like I've earned it." End quote. Some will say petty. I say Wemby-esque. Good for him. That's what you should say. That's how you should perform. Wheeler's 9-1, threw 104 pitches over 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, an earned run, no walks. How is he not an all-star?
He is an all-star. This is a major, major mistake from MLB's perspective. We see Shedeur Sanders as a Pro Bowl quarterback because they just give it to everyone. And baseball is going to take a hardline stance on Zach Wheeler. Give him the nomination. You've earned it. You're 9-1. Your ERA is just barely over 2. You're one of the top pitchers in baseball. You would be getting mentioned, except you were hurt early on in the season, in that Cy Young candidate. And if he keeps going like this, he will be in that Cy Young National League discussion. And you can't even put him on the All-Star game and say, look, we're going to put you on it, but due to the fact of when you're pitching, etc., then we're still going to have a replacement for you, but you've earned the desire. And I have to believe that almost every single veteran player in sports has a clause in their contract that I get a bonus for being named to the all-star team and all of these different things. So not only did you not acknowledge what he did, you did take money out of his pocket, which there's no reason. I can't even defend it. Jose Luzardo ends up making it. Let's see here. If you ask the Phillies, who do we want in a one-game winner take all? Are we going to throw Luzardo or are we going to throw Zach Wheeler for our starting pitcher? That's going to be 100 out of 100. You're taking Zach Wheeler, but yet Luzardo gets the all-star nod and Wheeler, you got to stay home?
We mentioned the Phillies are just 2 games back of the Braves. They're back in Cincinnati tonight. As of 18 seconds ago, I just checked. My sourcing, ESPN, still has Phillies starting pitcher for 3 hours from now is undecided. The Reds are throwing Chase Burns. What do you got, Steve?
Oh, Chase Burns has been unbelievable this season. He has had such a great season. He is getting everything done. The Reds team, they just can't hit. I mean, Burns has been one of the few bright spots that have been out there. They are a slight favorite in this game because we don't know who's going for. But Chase Burns, 10-1, ERA of 2.4. His whip is just barely over 1. He has struggled as of late. This is that young pitcher going into the All-Star break. We're seeing it. There are a ton of runs being scored of this last couple of runs. The weather has warmed up. The ball is flying. But Chase Burns is a legitimate star here. But one thing I want to mention, Phillies won this game 4-1, and I don't know if you were able to see anything with this game, but there was a play at second base going for the double play, and Ellie De La Cruz was on first base, and he ran hard into the second base. He didn't slide. He didn't do anything. He hit the bag and veered out of the way of the shortstop, I think it was, who was taking the throw. So he didn't interfere with it, ran past the bag 3 or 4 steps, came back. He did not interfere. He was safe at second base because one of the things we always say, and this is where Ellie De La Cruz is a star, in my opinion, on so many different levels. I can get to the bag faster if I run through the bag as opposed to sliding. He did that, but he knew don't keep running the left field because they'll call you out. So he went a few steps past the bag, came back. They called him safe at second. And because he hits the bag and moves off to the right side, he did not interfere with any throw. The Phillies felt it should be a double play because he didn't slide. There's nothing in the rule book that says you have to slide. It was genius. It's things that you don't see. Everybody gives himself up and goes into the slide, and he ran through it just like he runs to first base. It was genius, and I'm curious to see if more players are not going to start doing that now versus sliding just to get out of the way because he was called safe. He beat the throw because he didn't slide. And I'm just curious to see how much baseball notices that and starts encouraging that because it was a great baseball mind that knew how to beat that throw and how to be safe. And that's what players need to do.
Similar but different to our ABS discussion. In that what we're all these different things we're going to evaluate players on now moving forward. Like catcher's value is going to go way up over the next couple seasons because they've become so important. What you're talking about with Ellie De La Cruz is what we used to call an intangible baseball intelligence. The kind of thing doesn't show up in an arbitration meeting, doesn't show up on the back of your baseball card. That's just smart. That's why he's one of the best players in Major League Baseball. He understands the game. It's just intelligent. Now, the Phillies, we've talked about a few times, and you just alluded to the fact they were 14 games behind the Braves. They're 2 games back. The Phillies are 42-22 with Don Mattingly as their manager. That's a .656 winning percentage. Let me just double check. No. Only the Dodgers are remotely close to anything like that, and that's what Mattingly's done to this team. And the Phillies are also already in right now the wild card. They would be the team that would get in from the East because the Braves win right now. Although the Phillies could win. You mentioned it, Steve. Are the Braves going to be able to hold off Philly? Where does this put the Phillies? As of right now, All-Star break is Sunday. They're in the postseason. They've got to take care of Cincinnati. They go to Detroit to end the weekend. The Phillies, to me, seem like the team that should really go all in. They've got a manager who's red hot. I don't care why. I love Mattingly, so I don't even question it. They've got a incredibly talented team, a great roster, a chance to slay Goliath and actually win the East. Never mind that. Just stay where you are and stay in the playoffs. Are the Phillies, back to our questions earlier, Steve, are they constructed in a way that if they get to the postseason, they're a challenge, they're a danger, or not so much?
Yes, they're a danger if they do nothing. You talk about 656 baseball since Mattingly took over. Dodgers best team in baseball, 645. So if you just went from that point type of thing, and I know you're using the whole Dodgers, and I'm not going to break down where they were in their first 30 games and their win percentage, but the Phillies have been the best team in baseball since Mattingly took over. Kyle Schwarber, another homer, 31 bombs on so far. We still have a few more games to play before the All-Star break. Zach Wheeler isn't even good enough to be on the All-Star roster for the National League. He's 9-1 with an ERA of 2.2. This team plays great baseball. You just go top to bottom, solid lineup, a good staff. And I know we keep throwing them out there, but if the Phillies can go out and pick up one more quality starter, and they have a president of baseball operations in Dombrowski that is known for making trades. He is an all-in now guy. He will trade every prospect in your minor league system if he feels that it will help him win a World Series. And he helped the Red Sox win a World Series. I'm not a huge fan because I think there's value to the prospects. I think one year the Red Sox in the offseason traded something like 25 minor league players in 1 year off of that team, which is what depleted their farm system. But he always wants to win. He has the talent to win. If they can land another frontline starter to go with Sanchez, Wheeler, Lazardo's having a good year, but if they can, Skubal to me, and this is why I think he's going to get a lot. Skubal changes every team's fortune, and any team he lands on is going to be a front runner to win a World Series, unless he goes to someone like the Padres, and then sorry, Padres, you're still not doing anything. But the Phillies, this is such a good team. They play hard baseball, and Mattingly has changed everything about this team. And when he got there, he just said, you know what? Just go out and play good baseball. It wasn't that he changed a whole lot. I think the players respected him. They knew it. And he just let them do what they do. And they all turned it around. They started hitting, they started pitching. And it's been incredible to see what they've done, which I go to the Mets. Look, you held on to Mendoza. Just what if you had gone out and hired Mattingly to be your manager and he did this magic with the Mets? We'd be talking the Mets right now, but they held firm. They ended up finally firing him, but what are they still 10 games under 500 or whatever it is? I mean, the Mets, who knows? They might have been able to do this if they had pulled the trigger and gone to Mattingly as well.
Mets are 16 games under 500.
And you got to believe that Mattingly, having played his career in New York with the Yankees, I got to believe he would have had some interest in being the Mets manager.
Because of my mindset, and I'm thinking about next week, All-Star break, football's not around. I mean, that show prep mindset and all these fun little things we're coming up with. Here's another fun list you alluded to. You took your random swipe at the Padres for no reason. That came out of nowhere. But it is a fun list. Who is currently in contention that we claim Skubal wouldn't help? Because that's basically what you said, isn't it? That
Yes.
even Skubal won't help the Padres?
I don't think Skubal,
Now-
he'll put them in the playoffs, but do I think
Okay.
the Padres have a chance to win the World Series? No.
Okay.
And I'm looking at winning the World Series, not just making the playoffs.
Okay, let's just here. We'll do this real quickly now. Whatever, we got plenty of days. All right, Skubal goes 2, and does this move give them a chance to win the World Series? The Guardians,
Yes.
Rangers,
Man, that's a tough one. The Rangers,
That
even
is.
if they get Skubal, and you still lose 2-1 or 1-0. I mean, he gives up a run, you still could get beat. I'm just not sure that Rangers lineup will ever score enough runs. I don't think pitching's the problem. It's their hitting.
and I'm not saying any of this could happen or would happen. It's a fun little exercise. Would Skubal give the Houston Astros a real chance at winning a World Series?
Yes, they
What about
already
the
hit. Yes.
Sorry. Okay, what about the Twins? Twins are only a game and a half out of the wild card right now with 4 teams to go. Actually, only 3 teams to go.
I don't think the Twins can win a World Series with Skubal. I think they could get to the AL Championship Series. I don't think they can win a World Series.
What about the Blue Jays, who you've been clinging to? You think the Blue Jays can still turn it on, get into the postseason, wild card out of the East? Now you add Skubal, which would help them get there.
Yeah, because I don't think you're going to go into long losing streaks. They just need to get Kevin Gausman back on track and being Kevin Gausman that he's been for the last how many years, to go with Dylan Cease, Tarek Skubal, and Gausman at the top of that rotation along with Savage. That's going to become a tough team to beat. They still got to get the hitting going, get Vladdy to hit with more power. They got some questions in that lineup, but yes, they can turn it around, have a huge second half, and could win a World Series with Skubal.
I mean, really, the more fun way to do this is the teams there's no chance Skubal helps win a World Series. You've already said the Padres. And it's got to be everybody below that, right? The Reds wouldn't be helped to win a World Series. The Giants, the Mets, the Rockies, they're out of it. Who cares? The Royals, the Angels, no.
The A's, no, because they don't have enough. They can win it once every 5 days. Well, maybe twice every 5 days. Ginn can win here and there. Gage can win here and there. But your bullpen is awful. You're not getting anything. You're going to go Skubal, you better pitch in and go get Mason Miller and go back to that DeVries trade in order to get a guy who can close and win a game. You're not going to get it done with Alvarado sitting out there.
No, that's true. That's because the A's are that team as constructed. You go, wait a minute. You're talking about postseason. You've got Ginn, Gage Jump and Scooble, and you're telling me they can't hang, and then you say the B word bullpen, and I go, yeah, they can't. They can't. No, they can't hang. Fun exercises. Have a great day. We're back tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of the Rob and Steve Sports Show, brought to you by the Rad Network and is copyrighted by the radnetwork.com and Williams Broadcasting for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of whatever Rob and Steve just talked about without the express permission of the Rad Network, Williams Broadcasting,